Hey everyone and welcome to a quick video about the newest Civilization 6 patch, the Fall 2016 update, which was released just today. And I figured I'll go over all the patch notes and discuss them briefly. The patch addresses quite a few issues with the game, so that's obviously a good thing. Let's get started then, shall we? The update adds DirectX 12 support to Civilization 6, starting with AMD cards and NVIDIA Maxwell series or later cards. So that's one thing. Support has also been included for Logitech ARX. For more info on each of these, please click the respective link. Today, you're also able to play a whole new scenario called Cavalry and Cannonades, and settle on two new map types, 4-Leaf Clover and 6-Armed Snowflake. These maps are playable both online and offline, and were designed to encourage more conflict by forcing players to move towards the center. For the full list of what's in this latest update, please see below. Alright, so here are the proper patch notes. Let's go over all of them. New things, maps. Added a balanced 6-player map, that's the one mentioned just above, and added a balanced 4-player map. Cavalry and Cannonades scenario added, combat scenario with reduced unit maintenance costs, and no strategic resource requirement for units. Interesting. Larger starting army and additional starting techs, and 50 turns time limit. I quite like that, actually. That's nice for a quick game. I guess that was the actual goal here. Gaul possessed the largest territory. DirectX 12 support, I already mentioned that, and complete Logitech ARX support. Then we got gameplay updates. Added additional notifications. That's a little bit vague, but alright. Added a time defeat for running out of time. This is always disabled if score victory is available. Added additional hotkey support, next unit and next city, yeah, that's not bad. Added the ability to rename cities, I guess quite a few people will be happy with that one. Added the UI to show the next tile the city will grow to. Yeah, that was really needed in the game, I'm glad they added that. Next, added a visual cue for barbarian scouts that are alerted to your city. I like that one. And changed Dan Quayle rankings. Alright, next up, we got balance changes. Added prerequisite Manhattan Project for Operation Ivy. So basically, if you want to build thermonuclear bombs now, you first need to build the Manhattan Project, and then you can build Operation Ivy. That makes sense. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that you're able to drop a thermonuclear bomb without knowing how to make a regular nuke, right? Next up, added metal casting as a prerequisite for economics tech. Makes sense. There are quite a few techs on the tech tree that are a little bit weird. I always felt like the tech tree was supposed to have more connections. I don't know. Anyway, next up, adjusted religious pressure when a religion is first founded to give them more resilience and convert the city. So that means it's going to be harder to just completely wipe out your religion by replacing your religion in your holy city with a different one, since it's supposed to be more resilient now. Next up, adjusted relationship decay rates. Okay, that makes sense. So if you have a lot of positives with an AI, it will decay slower. I assume the negatives will also decay slower, because it doesn't mention it's only about the positives or only about the negatives. I assume it's about both. Next up, reduce the effectiveness of cavalry production policies. Yep, that's a good change. The plus 100% production towards cavalry units right at the start of the game was way too overpowered. That really needed a nerf. Next up, reduced warmonger penalties in most instances, and adjusted how this reacts to returning versus keeping the city. The last city conquered from a player now provides a heavy warmonger penalty, even if you have a casus belli against this player, because you are wiping out a civilization. Okay, so most warmonger penalties are now smaller, but there's an additional penalty for taking the last city and wiping out a civ. That's a good change. Some of the penalties were really crazy, so I'm happy that got adjusted. Next up, reduced border incursion warnings if the troops are within their own borders. Yes, that's also a good change, because the AI tends to go crazy if you have even a few units close to his borders, even if by being close to his borders, he means that you are literally sitting inside your own city. So this is a really good change. That's how it should have worked right from the start. Now, it would be nice if you could request the AI to move away from your border, because they can request you to move away, or promise not to attack them, but you can't do it in reverse. That always kind of bothered me. Anyway, next up, increase the number of great works of writing slots in the amphitheater to 2. This is a very good and needed change, because what often happened is that if you were generating a lot of great writer points, you kept getting these great works of writing, but then you had to build more amphitheaters to get more slots for great works of writing. But because amphitheaters generate even more great writer points, it was just kind of an endless loop. You kept getting more great writer points, and you kept running out of slots, so you built more amphitheaters, and you got even more great works of writing because you got more points, and it was just an endless loop. So this is a very good and needed change. Next, increased counter-spy operation time. Yep, that's a good change. It would be nice if you could just place it on auto-repeat, as in the spy, because you have to just keep repeating the same mission if you want to keep a spy on counter-spy operation all the time. But it's a good change. Next up, increase the cost of religious units and applied additional charges. So additional charges to apostles, I assume. Well, maybe to missionaries as well. I guess I have to play to find out. Or maybe just all religious units. I guess that kind of implies that it's about all religious units. So inquisitors, missionaries, and apostles. Good change. Next up, units may no longer be deleted when they are damaged. Yep, that's a good one. Deleting a unit no longer provides gold. Yes. So that plugs one of the biggest exploits in the game. I'm really happy that this is here. Because you could basically have unlimited gold by exploiting the fact you got gold. It never even made any sense. You shouldn't be getting gold for deleting a unit. So I'm really glad that this is here. This was easily one of the biggest exploits present in the game before this patch. Next up, updated island plates map to have more hills and mountains. Alright? Units may no longer remove features from tiles that are not owned by that player. Yep, that's a good one. Fallout now prevents resource harvesting, makes sense. Barbarian camps must spawn further away from low difficulty players' cities. That's probably a good change, but one of the issues is that barbarians can be really crazy on highest difficulty levels. Like, before this patch, barbarians could in many situations be a bigger threat than the actual AI. And that's a little bit overboard, perhaps. Anyway, next up we got AI tuning. Adjusted AI victory condition focus to increase their competitiveness in science and tourism. Yep, makes sense. Adjusted AI understanding of declared friendship. Yep, that's a good one, because AI was a little bit crazy. I had situations where I was super friendly with an AI, went to war against the same civ together with that AI, and then it declared war on me, which really made no sense whatsoever. It didn't even backstab me because it didn't attack me actively. It just declared war on me after I went to war together with it against another empire. So yeah, that's a good change. Next up, adjusted the AI approach to beginning and ending a war based on potential gain and loss. I have to play a bit to see how that's going to work and how that's going to affect the game. But probably a good change, because AI had some major difficulties evaluating the situation during a war. So hopefully that will fix that a little bit. Increase AI competitiveness in building more advanced military. Yes, that's an understatement of the century, because even on highest difficulty levels, the mid-game and late game was kind of a joke, because AI was borderline incapable of maintaining a decent military and upgrading its army. It just couldn't do it properly. So this is a very good change. This is an understatement of the century. Next, increased AI usage of Inquisitors, especially Philip. Makes sense, so instead of spamming a crap ton of apostles and missionaries, AI will actually use more Inquisitors now. Then, increased AI value of upgrading units. Yep, again, this is an understatement of the year, or a century. Because AI just didn't upgrade units a lot of the time. And it had nothing to do with strategic resources, because I often saw AI not upgrading units that don't require any strategic resources, but it definitely had the techs. But even when it did have strategic resources, it didn't upgrade units that required them. So I'm glad that this is here. Increased AI use of settler escorts. Yes, good change, no comment. I think that's self-explanatory. Hopefully it's increased enough. Tuned AI usage of units that cannot move and shoot, like catapults. Yep, good one. Tuned AI city and unit build planning. Yep. Improved the ability of city-states to maintain a strong military. Yes, again, that's an understatement of the year, because I witnessed a lot of city-states in the late game still having like warriors and really basic ancient era units, or cavalry, not cavalry, horsemen, and never built anything better than that. So good change. Next up, bug fixes. Fixed some production social policies, great people, and Pantheon bonuses that were not applying correctly. Yep, that's self-explanatory. Fixed Royal Navy dockyard, not getting the right adjacency bonuses. Again, self-explanatory. Fixed issues with how the Great Wall was built by players and AI, including proper connection to mountains and removing other players' Great Walls as potential connection points. I know the issues AI had with the Great Wall. It tended to build like these crappy sections all over the place. So instead of building one wall, it had like 10 different short sections of a wall. I saw that happen in at least one game I played. Anyway, next up, fixed unit cycling error with formations. Alright. I hope the game now has an option in the options menu to turn off unit cycling, because you can do it yourself by editing one of the files, but it would be nice if there was, an actual option in-game, instead of you having to go out of your way to edit a file. Not to mention, a lot of people will simply not be aware that you can do that. Fixed a bug where the first military levy that expired would return all levied units, including those levied from other city-states. Yep, that's a good one. Now it should only return the levied units that actually originally belonged to the city-state, to the one city-state. Yep. Fix several issues when earthships and aerodromes are occupied, including forced rebasing of enemy units and AI updates. Okay, next up, fixed an exploit that allowed ranged and bombard units to gain experience when attacking a district with 0 hit points. Good fix. Fixed an issue with wonders when transferring city ownership. Conquering a city with a wonder would not track that wonder, and could lead to problems when attempting to use Gustav Eiffel. Alright. Next up, fix an issue where the settler lens would not always show right information to the player. Yeah, I saw that happen at least a few times, so that's a good fix. Fixed an issue where AI would counter gold changes with the change desired rather than the total amount of gold desired. Yeah, this is one of the things that kind of broke trade, because you could exploit trade to get the AI to give you almost anything you really wanted. So that's a good fix. That was one of the exploits that existed in the game. I'm glad that got removed. Anyway, fixed an issue where the tutorial intro and outro videos would appear off-center in certain resolutions. Fixed some crashes with units. I did have a few crashes happen, so that's probably something to do with it. Fix an issue where multiple leaders of the same civilization would frequently show up in a game. Okay, well, next up, fix an issue where trade route yields were doubling in some instances. Yeah, I saw that happen at least once, so that's a good fix. Units in formations now break formation before teleporting between cities. Teleporting? Do you mean airlifting? Oh, it's probably, yeah, it's about great people and things like that. Because you can move a great person into the city and then teleport. And that great person can be in a formation. Alright. Next, the achievement for Queen and Country was unlocking too frequently. Okay. AI with neutral relationships should accept delegations barring exceptional circumstances. Yep, that's a good one, because before this patch, you had to send a delegation literally on the turn you met the AI on. If you waited even one turn, it would no longer accept that delegation, because you lost like a tiny little bit of relationships, and it just stopped accepting that, so you had to do it on the first turn. That's a good one. Next, can no longer declare a joint war if it is invalid for either party. Yeah, that's a good one, because this could lead to a civilization you haven't met yet declaring war on you. I had that happen at least twice. I had civilizations that I never met actually declaring war on me. It also sometimes caused a bug where you kind of declare war on yourself, so that's most likely related. Next up, save game files should no longer be case sensitive. Certain wonders were sending extra notifications. Players will no longer receive any warmongering penalties from a joint war partner for actions in that joint war. Okay, that's a good one. Liberating a civilization back to life will now bring them back into the game properly. I never actually tried doing that, so I assume that's a good fix. If it didn't bring them back to life properly, then yeah. Observation balloon bonus was being incorrectly applied when stacked. Yeah, you could basically surround a unit, like an artillery, any bombard class unit, with multiple observation balloons and get like 10 tile range. It was a little bit crazy. It was basically an exploit. But if you had multiple balloons and multiple artillery units right next to each other, it was kind of hard to avoid doing that, not on purpose. Text and grammar fixes. Then we got visuals. Buildings on snow will now have snow on them, alright. Added an industrial barbarian encampment. Wait, really? Alright. Added a ranger tower to national parks. I like that. Fixed some issues with buildings not calling around other word items properly. Okay. Fixed an issue with some districts not showing properly. Yeah, I think I had that happen at least once, where I definitely had a district, but it wasn't visible, kind of. Miscellaneous polish applied to multiple improvements, districts, and buildings. Then we got multiplayer category. Turn timers are always disabled on the first turn of a new game. This happens regardless of the advanced start or turn timer type selected. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Allow multiplayer lobby's private game status to be toggled once the lobby has been created. Yep, that's a good one. You can toggle it on or off without having to actually create that game again. Cap the max players to 12, and added local area network player name option to option screen. Then we got interface changes. Added the number of specialists working a tile, yep, that's a good one. Added some additional icons for espionage promotions, etc. Added additional Silopedia shortcuts, including right-clicking a unit portrait. Yeah, this is one of the Silopedia-related functionalities that I've been really missing in Civ 6. Because in Civ 5, you could just right-click on a unit and check all the details about that unit. And I did that a lot, especially with modded Civs, so I'm glad that's back. Added the signature to the diplomacy action view, deal view, so that we can differentiate between duplicate players. Oh, okay, so if you have the same exact leader twice or more in the same game. Also added multiplayer screen name in diplomacy. Yep, I like that. I don't really play multiplayer right now, but that's a good one. Added trade route yields to the report screen. Yep, I like that. Added city center to the city breakdown panel. Next, added rewards and consequences to mission completed pop-ups. That's for espionage. Added the leader chooser when beginning a new game. So updated the screen when you choose a leader, I assume. Updated the end game victory screen. Updated the multiplayer staging room. Updated city banners. Updated espionage mission chooser flow. Updated to display what cities are getting amenities from each resource. Yep, that's a really good change right there, because it was kind of confusing. It wasn't really possible to see all the detailed information that you wanted at times, so that's a good one. Changed resource icon backings to reflect the type of resource it is. Auto scroll to the first grade person that can be claimed. Improved search functionality in the Silopedia. Yep, that's a good one. Remote barbarian data from player replay graphs. Escape now closes the tech, civic, and Eureka pop-ups. I like that. When loading a game, the era blurb will be current era of the saved game rather than the starting era of the game. Yeah, that's a really good one because they recorded like openings for each era, but you only hear them if you start a game in a certain era. Because when you start a game and go to advanced options, you can pick which era you want to start in. By default, it's ancient, but you can set it to any era you want, and then you will get a different opener. But you didn't get that opener when you loaded a game in that era, which didn't really make any sense, so most players would literally never even hear these different openers. Anyway, next we got audio, added some missing mouse over sounds, fixed the Oracle quote, fixed an issue where the advisor voice was not playing in some languages, fixed compatibility issues with some sound cards, especially those set to high playback rates, and miscellaneous. Added a setup option, no duplicate leaders, that is enabled by default. This option prevents multiple players from selecting the same leader. Updated leader screen to support enabling disabling bloom according to the enable bloom graphics option. Plot tooltip delay is now available in the options menu, and auto cycle units is now available in the options menu. Very good changes, both really good ones. You could change these things in config files, but now you can actually do it in-game. It should have been there right from the start, but I'm glad it's there now. Benchmark updates and credits updated. So these are the patch notes, and that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.